Hi everyone. So today today I want to talk about something that I have talked about before in some of my videos. But this is most likely going to be the last video that I make where I talk about this subject specifically and I make an entire video dedicated to this. Because there are plenty of people out there talking about these things right now. But I think the more, the better when it comes down to this subject because it's something that needs to be talked about. So, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about AI. And let me be clear before I start this, okay? I am not against AI. The way that I look at this is that this is just a tool, a wonderful tool, despite all its flaws, that is just being used in the wrong way most of the time. That is what the problem is. That is what needs to be addressed. Hopefully, this video won't be too long. I'm going to try to keep it short, but I don't know. We'll see. So, well, first of all, there's the cost of these, right? In the sense that, all these data centers that are being built, all the natural resources that are required to keep running these things. Some of the bigger data centers that are out there that exist and will soon be operational, they use anywhere between 1 million gallons of water a day all the way up to like 5 million gallons of water a day. These are not small numbers here. We can't keep building the centers and doing this, especially in the United States. There are way more data centers in the US than any other country, as far as I'm aware. And the problem with that is that, all these dystopian scenarios that we have seen in sci fi movies and things that have been made by Hollywood and all that, where in the not so distant future, humanity is fighting wars over resources like water and things of that nature, these things will turn out to be true if we keep going at this pace. The amount of water that is being used, that is going to be used in the near future for these things to keep running is is so absurdly insane that it's almost unfathomable. And that's not an exaggeration. Water is the most precious resource that we have on this planet. And it's like any other resource, if it is not managed properly in a balanced manner. Not only that, like any other resource on this planet, it's a finite resource. Until somebody figures out how to make water out of nothing, I don't even know if that day is ever going to come, right? We have to be smart about how we use these things. People used to complain about the amount of water that it takes to kill cattle and things like that. Well, stop complaining about that and start complaining about the water that is being used for the AI data centers. Because if you think that the amount of water that is being used for cattle, you know, uh, for growing cattle and making beef and things like that is bad, you have seen nothing. Because you can't even compare. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Then you have problems such as the younger generations are more and more using these tools, and they are like, almost developing some sort of cerebral atrophy and lacking the capability of critical thinking, of using logical rationale, and all of these things, and taking everything face value, accepting everything as the ultimate truth or result. And this is already causing, and it's going to cause so many more issues later down the road within the next 2 or 3 generations. If you think it's bad now, just wait. So the problem is that you can't use these tools and and especially the way they work right now, because like I said, they are so flawed. There are so many flaws and issues about this. You know, Google used to be good for a lot of things because when you would do research on Google, you would get links and real information, real verifiable, hard fact data from doing simple searches on whatever it was that you wanted to do. But now that everything is AI and it's been incorporated, it's like there's no truth. You don't have a choice now. Every time you ask Google something, it's AI is what is answering. It's Gemini. Gemini does all the stuff. And if you don't know how to use it, if you don't establish certain parameters so that the AI doesn't do its own guessing and its own assumptions, because it does that all the time without asking you. And most people, they will not second guess. They will think that that's correct, whatever the answer they get, when that's not going to be the case in a lot of cases. So, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own research. I always tell people, do your own research on this. I noticed that even the TV that I used a while ago got updated, and now it has its own AI into the interface of it. And it was annoying me when it first happened because, it kept popping these things. Try our AI, do the AI, and I'm like, I don't want to try your AI. I don't give a damn about the AI that you put on my TV. I use my TV for very specific purposes. It's like I watch Netflix, YouTube, and I may play an occasional video game here and there. That's all I use my TV for. I don't watch TV. So I don't need you to put AI crap on my TV and then try to shovel down my throat like I have to use it, because no, I don't. I don't care, you know. But this is what they're doing with a lot of this technological stuff that's out there now. They're like forcing building these things into all kinds of apps, programs, and things like that, because that's what they all claim. AI is the future. AI is the future. It's already here. There's nothing you can do about it. And those are valid points. But what needs to happen is we need heavy regulation. We need regulations. Like right now. Not tomorrow. Not years from now. We need regulation right now. Because without that, things get out of hand really fast. And then when bad things happen, you know, someone he needs to be accountable for. There was a case recently of a lawyer, a female lawyer, that she sued one of these companies, and she won the lawsuit. They settled out of court. I think she was even on Oprah, a while ago, um, because she lost her son. He had like some AI psychosis thing going on, and he ended up taking his own life because of that. And that's another problem. The AI psychosis is real. It's happening to a lot of people, especially younger people. And the biggest reason why this is happening is because of this lonely epidemic that is happening to pretty much everyone. This goes for both sides of the spectrum here. Men and women, teenagers, kids. It's a thing, it's happening. People are desperate, craving for any sort of attention, validation, and when they can't get that from other people, other human beings, because of however they may be psychologically speaking, right? And even people with like friends and family and things like that, which was the case with this kid, they will fall prey to these things. That's what happened to him. Now, yeah, that was an extreme case, like where he chose to end his own life, right? But it won't be the first, and it most surely won't be the last. This is gonna be a trend now that's gonna be ongoing for the you know near future, and that's why I say regulation has to happen. It's a necessity, because otherwise this is gonna keep creating issues and all kinds of problems to society as a whole. People using these chatbots and things of that sort, and going mental about it, losing their own ability for critical thinking, losing the common sense, and all of these things that are like these things are well, they used to be human nature up until not that long ago, and now it's becoming a problem. So we need regulations. That's the most important thing that we need. And the only way these things can happen is if the population does its part and puts pressure on political bodies, government entities, and things of that sort to demand, regulation, accountability for all of these things. Because otherwise, this is not a good prospect. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's just not. It's not a good prospect at all. So not only you have the environmental cost, which is insane if you ask me, of running these things, you have you have the psychological impact and aspect that these things are doing to people on so many levels. People are becoming dumber, and there's no other way to put it. Go do a little bit of research. You're going to find out really fast what this is doing to the minds of the young people now. It's not all doom and gloom though. There is hope. I know there's a lot of young people that are not happy with this, that they don't like AI, and they're making themselves heard. You know, I know there's a lot of people that are not happy with the fact that they're putting these things on everything that we use, because we don't need that everywhere like these companies think we do. But there's an agenda behind all of these things, and that's why they're doing this. Because what they gain from this is worth it for them. Now, like I said, this whole thing, if we use it properly, it will benefit mankind in so many ways. And we're going to be living in paradise someday. If that day ever comes, and if we actually get smart about this and we start doing these regulations and being smart about these things, But if that doesn't happen, and these companies keep doing these things at the pace that they're doing, with no no no, there's no supervision, no foresight, no regulation, no nothing to rein in and to keep it balanced, to avoid major issues, problems, perhaps even catastrophes from happening. Things that we've seen in movies that we thought it will only be a movie thing and now are actually happening as I speak. You gotta be careful with what you play here. We can't be reckless with this technology just because everybody wants to do certain things and all that. And here is the other thing that you guys should be asking yourselves. Look at the amount of money that is being heavily used for all this to keep going from this point forward. And these companies are operating at major net losses. Every single one of them. I was actually having this conversation with my son, over the weekend. I had him for the weekend for Father's Day, and I was like, how long do you think these companies are going to keep doing this before this whole thing blows up and this whole bubble bursts? Because this is absolutely unsustainable. Not only when it comes down to the energy and natural resources aspect of it, because we need water, right? For agriculture, for for keeping everything alive, including ourselves. And if we start using water at these rates, it'll only take a decade or two for there to be not enough water all over the place anymore. And then it's going to be a problem, a big problem that's not going to be easy to solve once you reach that point. And these companies are using, I mean, OpenAI, if the little bit of research that I did before making this video is actually anywhere near correct, OpenAI alone is, their operating costs are like 31.9 billion or something, 30 near almost 32 billion, when their revenue is only like 13 something billion. So do you see the problem here? They're operating at a loss of over double of what they make in revenue. Why are they doing this? You should be asking yourself, right? Which other companies out there do this kind of madness, that operate and keep operating at such losses? Because any other business out there would go out of business right away, and they wouldn't do this because this is like it's a suicidal thing to do when it comes down to the financial aspect of things, right? But it's because there's a whole lot of reasons behind it. And the people who are funding these models, these companies, these data centers and all this stuff, they have all the money in the world. So it's really not a loss for whoever is backing all of this stuff financially. They are willing to take the loss, if you could call it that, because they know all the benefits that it will bring for a lot of agendas that exist behind it all. And that's all I'm going to say. And this is really all I wanted to talk about when it comes down to this video today, my friends. Got a little longer than I thought it would be, but it's okay. It need to be talked about. It need to be spread. There needs to be more awareness about these things, because AI is not the monster that many people claim it to be. I don't see it. I don't look at it that way. But I think that many things need to be done before it begins to turn out to be positive in so many ways for humanity as a whole. Right now, it's just not being utilized in a wise manner, and there are many reasons behind it, and that's why. And I think that once there's enough regulation to keep things in check to a certain degree, when it comes down to certain things, things perhaps will become much better. But until that day comes, we need to keep voicing our opinions, and we need to keep talking about these things, because without regulation, this is too much of a wild card to just be let loose like that, and and just ignore the issues when they arise, because they will arise and there will be many. So this is all I wanted to talk about today. If you like the channel, don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. This is the only reason why I make these videos. So until next time, take care, be safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.